If you're watching this video, it's probably because you already know and hopefully love the Honda S2000. And while it is an amazing sports car, the sound is not the best. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do one very, very simple, completely free mod that will make the sound of the S2000 so much better. Now that we have the Honda S2000 engine bay open, I'm going to take a look at the culprit, which is the air intake box. Now, this is obviously where the air goes in, through the air filter, and then into the engine. And what Honda has done is they've put a really, really restrictive air box. And they do this to make sure that it's quiet. So what we're going to do is go ahead and take these clips, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all we're going to do is literally just take off the airbox lid. Before I show you the actual mod and what it sounds like once you've done it, I think it's important to kind of have a baseline. So I'm going to take the S2000 out. This is completely stock exhaust, stock intake, stock everything. I'm going to show you how it sounds. As a baseline, the S2000 has a 2.2 liter 4-cylinder that revs up to almost 9,000 RPM. It definitely doesn't sound bad, especially when you're above the VTEC. It sounds pretty good, but it definitely leaves a little bit to be desired. So with this one simple mod, just trust me, it'll sound a lot better. I'm gonna do the baseline and the post mod with the top up. I think you'll be able to hear a little bit more. But let me get it out and I'll go about 40-45 miles an hour. I'll do a little third gear pull and you'll be able to hear the baseline, exactly what it sounds like, completely stock. So here's third gear, 3,000 RPM, foot to the floor. 5,000 RPM. All right, so that was third gear to about 7,000 RPM. Let's go ahead, turn around and do one more baseline pull so we can have a well-established baseline. This is all for scientific testing, of course. Okay, in the name of science, let's do one more pull. Second gear, 2,000 RPM. Doesn't sound bad at all. It's funny, I almost never drive this car with the top up, so it's actually kind of interesting to hear all the different noises. I'm so used to driving this car with the top down. But now let's pull over. Let's do the actual mod. You'll see just how easy it is, and then we will do another little test to compare how it sounds after the mod. The very first step of this mod is, of course, to go ahead and pop the hood. If you take a look at this, you can see that when the air comes in, it's actually not filling the entire box. It's mostly being directed into channels to make sure that it gives a quiet driving experience. And obviously that is not what we want. So now that we have this off, let's throw this in the passenger seat and hear how it sounds. Now with the airbox lid off, let's see how it sounds. You can tell that when I'm just kind of driving around, not full throttle, it's actually not that different at all. The cool thing about this, if you want to call it mod, is that it really only sounds a lot louder when you are at wide open throttle, when you're completely floored. So you can drive around town and you probably won't notice it at all. But then when you are accelerating, when you do want to hear it, it really sounds a lot different. So I'm pulling up to the open road and let's go ahead and give this another test. Let's hear how it sounds after the airbox lid is completely off. All right, so I will do more or less the exact same pull. Let me get into third gear. All right, third gear, 3,000 RPM, foot to the floor. 5,000 RPM. Okay, so that's the same pole. You can hear how much louder it is. Let me turn around and let's do another pole. Again, all in the name of science. I'm getting no enjoyment at all out of this. Let's do a little second gear pull, wide open throttle. Second gear pull, wide open throttle, 2,000 RPM. Okay, it's so much louder. Wow. Wow. I'm hoping you can tell just how much louder it actually is, because it's kind of crazy. It really, really sounds a lot better and is so much louder. Now, while this does sound a lot better, it is not without its controversies. A lot of people will say, oh, you know, this hurts the engine, you're going to heat soak the engine, and you're going to lose a ton of horsepower. I will say, as someone who's read a lot on that, I don't think the effects are actually that bad. I don't think you're going to hurt the engine. This is a modern car. It's going to be able to adjust and cool as it needs to. And unless you're tracking it nonstop for an hour and not letting the engine rest at all, I really don't think you're going to hurt it. Also, it's really not, it doesn't feel like you're losing any power. Maybe there are, 5-10 horsepower that you're losing. I will say it's not really noticeable. So people that will tell you, oh my gosh, you're going to lose so much horsepower, it's not going to feel good, they really don't know what they're talking about. The only thing that I will say is kind of noticeable, slightly. If you've driven a lot of miles with the airbox on and a lot of miles with the airbox off, you can kind of notice a small difference in the throttle response. But again, it's very, very, very minor. It sounds really good. So if you are looking to have some fun with your car, you want a little bit more noise, but you don't want to invest into all of the work that it takes to put in either an exhaust or an intake, I say go for it. Have a little fun, pop it off, pop it back on when you want, and enjoy some extra noise out of this awesome engine. Of course, it's not going to be as good as a true cold air intake or true exhaust, but with this little thing in 60 seconds, you can have a lot more noise and a lot more fun. Thank you so much for watching. Many more S2000 videos to come.